us an excuse to get to know us rather than just go through this unstructured. We're just going to invent a tag. So this is a tag designed to help people to get to know what type of a channel you are.
What type of... I'm not a channel. I'm a person.
I'm a person first, channel second.
Yes. Second channel.
All
Channel
right, so,
2. Ah!
So we just threw together some quick questions where I think this will kind of draw out a little bit more about myself and my friend Crypto here. So my name has been Una this entire time, and I forgot to tell you.
And I've been Crypto this entire time. Welcome.
All right, so question number 1, what is your channel about? And I would say, obviously, the initial answer, right, is here on BookTube, right? Well, we're about literary fiction, so a lot of classics, a lot of those, like, you know, when you read those lists of top 100 books you have to read before you die. Like, whoa, that got dark real quick. Well, look up those lists. You'll find a lot of videos that we've done on those.
Yeah, I definitely think we've gone through the classics, sprinkled on a few fun things. I mean, we have sci-fi, fantasy, all of it, but beyond just doing the literary book analysis, we're more about conversation of what is the point of reading besides getting enjoyment is you can learn about other people's lives and you can have good conversations and connect with other people over something that you both value.
Yeah. I think realistically, it was an excuse to hang out, right? Because
initially, yes.
Yeah, because we just wanted to hang out and talk. We started with like a book club and we were just doing some other things. And that's actually kind of like how we originally met was just doing a book club. And we'll get more into that, but let's move to the second question because I think that kind of dovetails into this is what is your recording process? And we get this question a lot, right? Like when people watch our videos, they're like, well, what's going on here? Are you guys in the same room and you're looking at each other like podcast style? And the answer is no, we're many, many miles apart. Not as many as we used to be, but we're a lot closer now. You're a moving target though, to be fair.
I've moved several times. Well, let's see. I was in Florida in 3 different houses and 4 different rooms. And then I moved to North Carolina and now I have this set up. So yeah. But I guess for our process is you usually pick some things that you think would be, you know, good and fun, get views, but also be something we'd be interested in. We try to follow certain themes throughout the year as well. And you come up with a schedule and we kind of review a little bit of it together and what will fit here. What do we want to read this? How do we do this? And then we read it. Sometimes we do pre-chats. Sometimes we don't. You write up a set of notes. We review them. And then we sit down and hit record.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of like some people, they'll finish reading a book and then they want to immediately sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna get my thoughts out on paper, right? You and I are like, okay, Thursday nights, our wives know we're going to sit down and record. We have between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. to, first of all, we generally do nothing for a half an hour. Like the first half hour, we talk about work and other stuff. But really, it all comes down to Thursday nights between 7 and 9. We hop on a call right now, AirPods, and can't record on our cameras, record ourselves talking, and then somehow slice together a jumble of a video here.
You do all that. You do all the editing, which you are fantastic at, and put it all. Yeah, you do the work and put in all the fun stuff and upload it to the YouTubes and watch the algorithm magically, get us views. Yeah.
Which leads us to the third question: is outside of books, what are your hobbies? Right. So obviously, I don't do the video as something like oh, I got to do this video. I like editing videos. I used to own a video editing business. And the way that you and I met was actually originally, before even the book chats, was playing video games, right? Like that's, I think, something that you and I both grew up doing. And we met playing, oh gosh, what was the name of that game again now?
Galaxy of Heroes.
Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, right? Huge Star Wars nerds. And I made videos on that. And you're like, hey, let's record some videos together. So we did that, had some fun with that. Eventually that turned into, oh man, the new Star Wars book's coming out. You want to read that together? And then we started talking about that, started talking about other books, and that's what led to the creation of this channel, basically.
Yeah, I remember, I vividly remember that day it was a Saturday, and we were talking on Discord, and I don't remember who said who, but we did a Discord chat, and we talked for like 4 hours about Thrawn, the first Thrawn book, the new first Thrawn book of the trilogy. And we talked for hours about that, and just kind of realized that we both love literature and books and Star Wars, video games. I'm also a big D&D nerd. I play D&D once a week as well. Just I like movies and shows and stuff like that. My old man body doesn't let me work out as much anymore, but I used to be big into fitness. So, kind of everything. I know we both like sports a little bit, and we follow our local teams. So, yeah, I mean, we're kind of, I think, well-rounded in many facets of life of things that we like to do and entertain ourselves.
Yeah. Now, so something I haven't shared on this channel is you and I both have talked about how we've had wrestling backgrounds and stuff like that. I've done tons of martial arts in the background, never good at any of them, but I've done like Taekwondo, karate, we did wrestling in high school, and my son and I just recently started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so that's something that him and I have kind of been exploring and stuff like that too. So there's, groundbreaking news from that one.
Yeah, didn't he get a new belt like a few weeks ago?
He did. He's becoming a beast. And he brags about how he is now a higher belt than I am. But first of all, Daddy can only train a couple times a week because that's all his body can handle. Oh, like you remember doing wrestling, dude? Like you did it every day, Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday after school, right? Like that was
like
wrestling.
3 hours.
And then also, well, and then also you did weightlifting sometimes, like 2-3 times a week too, right? Like we're talking, I maybe wrestle like once or twice a week, and I am done. Being 41 years old, my body can't do that anymore.
Think about that as a high schooler. You had usually gym class, 45 minutes, right? Then you'd go to wrestling for 2 or 3 hours. Then 3 days a week, you would go to weight training. And then on Saturdays, you had an 8-hour tournament, and you weren't eating any food, and you were still just a beast. And then Sunday, you would have to, maybe go to church, do homework, hang out with friends, play some video games, and then do it all over again. And it was just like, I'm going to eat 4 jelly beans and drink Mountain Dew, and I'm great. And it's like, now I look at jelly beans and I get a stomach ache. And if I don't get a solid 12 hours sleep, I'm struggling.
Yeah. I feel like I want to throw up when I tie my shoes some mornings. So. All right. Question number 4. What book title best describes the life you'd like to lead? Is it bad that my first instinct was I found out there was a book called I Was Told There'd Be Cake? Okay, maybe I can get a little bit more cantankerous here because I actually went with 100 Years of Solitude. I learned that through quarantine. I was totally comfortable just chilling by myself, me and my family, my wife and my son. Don't get me wrong, we crave outside relationships. We can't actually do 100 years of just us. But we are way more resilient about just being alone than I think most people are.
Okay. I also went with a good one for mine. The Gunslinger. Not really.
Oddly enough, that was the first video we ever did on this channel.
Yeah, that was. Like 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago now. My real answer, I think, would be War and Peace. And not that I want to be at war, but I think that life is about relationships, and life is about connection and those peaceful relationships, and also those contentious relationships, and how you work through those and how those make you, maybe a better person. I think that we're always at war and peace within ourselves, trying to figure out who we are. And I think that, maybe not the story itself of War and Peace, but that idea of war and peace in life and within our own lives.
Well, and some people may not know, because again, this is a book tag to get you to know more about the persons behind the camera, right? They might not know, like, that book is about history, the purpose of history, how we document it, what really changes history. You, my friend, used to be a historian.
Yeah, I used to be a history teacher too, and teach that to high schoolers and stuff. So yeah, I think that how we perceive history and how one person is perceived in history and how can that affect the outcome. Napoleon, one of the main people from the story in War and Peace, that definitely, contributes, I think, to life as well.
Yeah. People always ask us like, hey, are you two teachers? And I'm just like, well, we also used to be like, hey, are we going to be more education? I don't know if it's because of our background. Like, this is just how we actually enjoy talking about books. I don't know. It's where we go, and this is something we enjoy doing, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be a teacher. I taught, basically every grade level, most subjects, and I did that for almost 20 years. But then COVID kind of broke me, and decided to go in a different avenue of my life, and that's when my wife and I decided to move and make a change. So, but I naturally just like helping people, come to their own discoveries, and, quote, teaching, I think, is allowing people to become critical thinkers themselves, and having good open-ended conversations just naturally lends itself to that avenue of life.
Yeah. All right. Question number 5. If you could grab a drink with any literary character, who would it be? And I will allow for us both fictional characters as well as authors, if you'd like to go down that route. I went with a controversial one. And what's funny about this is the first time I mentioned this, I had read the original, but I hadn't read the sequel. And what I found out is that the original A+ stand-up character, I didn't know this, in the sequel, racist, terrible human being.
Oh my.
So we almost need to talk about what era are we in. Let's ignore the sequel because I've never read it. But my initial reaction is always Atticus Finch. I've always just thought he was such an interesting character. The way that he interacted with the town, the way that he interacted with morals, with his kids, the dog, everything about that character just screams, he's got a design. He's got a purpose. And I think he thought he did good for the community, again, ignoring the sequel. There's just something about that character that you want to get to know. What drives you, Atticus? Why do you wake up each day? And why are you sticking up for the law in this regard? There's just something very unique about that character to me.
Oh, I like that. That's a good answer. I'm going to cheat because we always got to cheat in our tag videos. And I think there are too many characters to pick from, and obviously too many authors as well. But I think that, he's still alive, and I would love to talk with Stephen King. If anybody has followed this channel, or if you're new to the channel, again, welcome. Stephen King is one of my favorite authors of all time. Easily top 5, probably could push into top 3. I love his work. And I would love to sit down and have a beer with him and just kind of pick his brain and, ask him some more of those intimate questions about the stories and his writing process, and how does he truly come up with all of these different stories? Why does he struggle with writing endings? Where does he see himself if, the certain events in his life that were obviously life-defining events, what happens with the Gunslinger and the Dark Tower, series if he doesn't have certain things occur. So I would love to sit down with him. Also, Tolstoy. If I could bring Tolstoy to us now and I could discuss with him science, and how would that maybe change his perspective on, religion and, his faith and things. I think that would be a pretty cool conversation to have, a science, faith discussion with somebody that, is truly entrenched in their faith. That would be a cool talk.
I think it's interesting how you kind of pick two characters. For sure, Tolstoy's on one end of the spectrum of designs everything. I really do think that's an author that has a specific purpose, intent of the message, how he wants to convey that message, what that message is, and how he wants to change the reader's mind. I think Stephen King, I don't know if he's completely the opposite end, but he is on the other end of the spectrum of there's not as much design. He talks about how he just writes what comes to him a lot of the times. And I don't think there's always a moral message there. Sometimes he's just trying to entertain the reader and have a good discussion about something that's kind of interesting. They're kind of polar opposites there.
Yeah. I mean, be fun to talk to different people. That's why I love having conversations.
Yep. All right, the 6th question is, if the world was going to end in 1 year, what books do you need to read first? And I put books here as opposed to book because I know some people read stupid fast. We're not that fast. But I wasn't sure if I was revisit or original book, so let's maybe explore both. I think if I were going to read one book that I had never read before, that I think is I need to read that, it's going to be In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust. There's a lot of people that talk about, you would like this if you enjoy this book. And oh, this really explores the human consciousness and art and experience to its fullest. I'm like, oh, well, obviously I need to read that. But oh man, it's split out across like 7 books. Like it's kind of hard for me to schedule in there. That's a big commitment.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you have like a year left, you said. So you gotta get this done. I would probably go with Rebecca by Say It For Me so I don't embarrass myself.
Oh, come on. You're going to embarrass me.
Say their name.
Is it like Daphne du Maurier?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. I've never read that one. I would like to revisit, though, a couple, too, and kind of amend the question and semi-cheat of The Divine Comedy and Don Quixote. I read those, I think, in high school and probably did not truly appreciate them because I was reading it for a grade, and we know how that can sometimes influence how you will perceive, enjoy, and read, a work of art. So I would like to revisit those two as well. If I have, just like I got to get these done before the end.
Mine is The Catcher in the Rye. I absolutely adored that reading it as an angsty teenager. Would I still love it now as a cantankerous old man? That's why I've been really slow to pull the trigger on rereading that one, because everyone I've talked to that is in like a more mature area of their life has said, no, don't revisit that. You're going to hate it. And I really don't think I will, but everybody tells me I'm going to, so I don't know. But that would be my revisit if I was going to do a revisit.
Oh, another one real quick. Man's Search for Meaning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that the Victor?
Yeah.
Was that Victor Frank?
Frankl? Victor Frankl.
Frankl. Okay. Yeah. Something like that. You've read that one?
No, I haven't.
Okay. That'd be one to explore you'd want to do. Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. The final question number 7, lucky 7. With unlimited funds and scientific breakthroughs, aka time travel and raising the dead, what book would you make sure had a sequel created? Now, all of these, I took a second to like reflect upon, to say, like what would it be? And I might have even changed my answer a few times. For example, like, question 6. Number 7, there's zero delay. There's no change in the answer. And it's been this way for at least over a decade. And that's The Brothers Karamazov, because that book was already planned to have a sequel. Unfortunately, Dostoevsky passed away before he could create it. But that to me is just one of the greatest creations of all time. I love that book to death. I love everything in it. I would love to have a sequel to that. And even if it weren't as amazing, I still would probably love it more than many other books out there as is.
Sequels are hard to do, but I think that I would love, and this is kind of a cheat again, but just maybe not a sequel, but just a new collection of Poe short stories. Like bring Poe back, get him, some laudanum or whatever. Some modern Vicodin, I don't know, some shrooms, and I want another 10 short stories from Poe. I feel like those stories are so amazing, and then they're going to be turned into Netflix series, and I'm going to enjoy them a second time watching them on the big screen in my living room. Poe, again, top 5, pushing to the top 3 of my favorite authors of all time. I would love to have some more Poe short stories.
There's a collaboration of authors that came together that recreated Dubliners. So how that's, 14 stories from, 18th century, from Dublin. Modern authors came together and kind of recreated those stories. It'd be interesting to see kind of like Poe stories like that too. I wonder if that's something that has existed as people have reimagined Poe stories. It'd be something to look into too, because we're obviously don't have this scientific breakthrough, at least in our lifetime. That would
cool
be
way.
Probably the closest we could get.
If there's any budding, authors out there, maybe we can inspire you. But it'd be really cool to take the elements of Poe, and I'm sure some people have kind of done this in some venue. Obviously, he's inspired a lot of authors. But if you could take, the ideas of his stories and put them in like a future scientific world, set in space, or set in 1,000 years in the future on a different planet or something, or in the year 2500 Earth, that could be really cool, and that could be really fun.
Yeah. All right, well, that's 7 questions to get to know us and our channel a little bit better, what we're all about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you feel like answering these 7 questions about your channel, please feel free to do that as well. My name is Ben Una. Peace.
Peace.